right, let's put the spotlight then on V3 Ventures. It's backed by the international investment company Verlinvest, and it's an early-stage venture capital fund that has launched in India and is looking to invest close to $100 million across Europe, the United States, and of course in India. Arjun Vaidya is a co-founder and investment partner at V3 Ventures and now joins us on the show. Good to have you on board, Arjun. To begin with, let's just understand what some of the sectors are that the fund is closely going to look at to invest, in particular in India.
Hi, Avanne. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I think it's an exciting time for us. The fund is focused on investing across the consumer landscape. I've had experience building a consumer brand in India, and so obviously brands remains one of the focus areas. It's also where Verlinvest has spent time in India investing over the last 10 years in brands like Sula, Viva, Epigamia, Purple, Wakefit, and Byju's. But outside of brands, we're also going to invest in the digital landscape of consumer. So other than brands, we're going to invest in consumer technology, enablement, and consumer platforms. These are the four areas we're focused on investing in. Through this entity, we've actually already done 2 consumer technology investments in Kuku FM and Eka Care, and we're excited about what this year holds ahead for us.
Okay, so how much of the total allocation is going to be in India over the next few years, and what is the deal size that you're looking at?
Absolutely. So about 30% roughly of this allocation comes to India. This is what we aim to invest over the next 18 to 24 months. We do seed to Series A investing. So roughly 1 to 5 million is our ticket size and focus area for our investments. And that's what we've done in the first two investments.
Okay, focusing then on one of the sectors that you're looking at, new age brands and technology. One can't deny the fact that within this space, we have seen quite a bit of a slowdown. The global recessionary fears as well seem to be percolating. We've seen layoffs across the board within this space. Are those not some concerns before looking at the sector?
Look, I think, Avanne, what you're saying, we've seen some of it, but I think if we look at our investment horizon, it's always a long-term horizon, minimum 5 to 7 years, sometimes even slightly longer than that. If you look at that horizon in India, while we have seen an aberration 2 years where things were a little frothy and heated, in general, or in the sort of larger perspective, I look at macro, India is a brand-starved nation. There's lots of growth left. We remain a domestic consumption economy and somewhat insulated from this sort of global recession that we're seeing. So in the short to medium term, I see there may be a little bit of correction, but in the long term, I think India is still the place to invest in these sectors and lots of growth remaining for us. I'm also specifically bullish on the Bharat ecosystem and the Bharat economy. I think we have the youngest population and the largest burgeoning middle class in India. That's aspirational for brand, and we'll see this play out over the next 5 to 10 years. So that's a big space, an area of focus for us.
The consumption space as well is something that you're going to be looking at, and the economic activity has shown early signs of a slowing consumption. There's a hawkish monetary policy as well at hand. Would you be very selective when picking out companies within the consumption space? Inflationary pressures, is that not as well one of the other lingering fear factors, if I may?
Yeah, I think, Avanne, from a nature of being selective, I think we're not going to do 50 deals from this fund anyways. We're going to be a concentrated strategy. We're going to invest in a small number of assets. And so in general, we are very selective. I would say what you're talking about from the macro inflationary standpoint is definitely something for us to keep in mind as we look at investment cycles. But we are an early stage vehicle. And so the entities we're entering or the companies we're entering are still very early on in their journey. And so not as much of this would affect a company that still has huge headroom for growth and a very small base for growth.
Okay. Now, let's talk about what the investments are that have already been made: an audio content platform, digital healthcare app, which have been some of the companies in the portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. So we invested in a company called Kuku FM, which is India's largest regional language content platform in the audio space. They have more than 2.7 million paid subscribers. It's a platform that I actually used to host a podcast on when I was running Dr. Vaidya's. It's a platform that sees huge engagement. And the great part about it is actually all of these subscribers are paid. So people say that, India doesn't pay for content, but this platform has proved to be one which has shown huge engagement and actually got all of these users to pay, and is growing very rapidly. The other platform is a platform called Eka Care. It's founded by the founding team of Goa Vivo, who spent time working in the health space through the pandemic and sort of helping the government as they built out these products. It's a full stack patient health record management platform that eventually endeavors to be a part of more and more of the patient's journeys. Doctors are able to manage their consultations and clinics on this platform. As the government pushes out EBDM and their own infrastructure for health, I believe that private players will build interesting use cases like we saw players build on UPI in this space. And so these are two investments we've made, large TAM, large opportunity, and we continue to look at spaces like this as we look at the future of our fund.
Within the tech space, would there be a lot of focus on, new and upcoming technologies in the digital space like cloud, AI, etc.?
Yeah, I think we are obviously tracking, as everybody else in the world is tracking AI. But I think for us, the focus remains B2C or consumer facing. But I'm sure that a lot of things will come up that will affect us from the consumption landscape. And I think that we will focus on anything that's a digital consumer brand. So as long as it's consumer facing, it would be front and center in terms of focus.
Going by reports, S&P had indicated that India's private equity investments in the year 2022 fell nearly 23%. Going by what we're seeing globally as well as back home, the fact that, yes, you are seeing some sort of a pickup and how India has managed to remain a bit resilient in light of all of this, do you see that private equity investments are likely to pick up in the year ahead? What's your assessment?
Yeah, I hope it will. I am of the hope it will. In the venture space, at least in the early stage space, we've seen some amount of pickup and renewed sort of excitement and deal flow. I think investors will be definitely a little bit more cautious and maybe take a little bit more time as they invest. But I see deals being done and sound businesses and good companies with good sustainable business models getting funded all through. And so deal activity or excitement or work continues from our end, and we remain as excited as we were last year or the year before as well in investing in India.
Okay, and if you could just tell us a little bit more about the kind of brands that Verlinvest has put in money in the past. You had spoken about, Byju's, etc. Can you walk us through some of the other names?
Yeah, so I don't run the growth equity business here, but Verlinvest has been investing in India for the last 10 or 12 years and invested in companies like Sula, Viba, Epigamia, Purple, Wakefit, Byju's, Heads Up for Tails, and Lahori Jeera Soda. It's a strong consumer portfolio, and we are fortunate at B3 to be backed by Verlinvest and get access to all this expertise, experience, and knowledge that has been built both in India and globally over the last sort of 25 plus years.
All right. So if you had to nail it down, Arjun, to a few factors that you would look at before you guys backed a company, what would it be?
Yeah, I think Avanne, three factors for us as we look at businesses in the early stage, because we enter sort of early on in the company cycle. Number one is founder. We're making an early bet on an opportunity, and so we have to bet on a person or a team. And so who is this person? Why will they fight through tough times? And why do they have a right to win? The second is TAM or market size. As we enter, we have to be able to see a large market in front of us and available that we can see our 3x, 5x, or 10x growth from there. And the third one is team and business. So we would look at who the team is around the founder, because an early stage business is not built by just one or two people. And then the economics, obviously, of the business. So revenue, growth, velocity, gross margin, bottom line profile, customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, etc. So a combination of these three factors, founder, market size, and team and economics, is what we think about when we make our investment decisions.
Sure thing. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining in, giving us a view on the latest fund, as well as what the outlook is for India.
Thank you, Avanne. Take care.